Meta description, opening question. What if the roar of Marc Marquez's name was powerful enough to move a prince, shake a desert, and rewrite the future of global motorsport forever? What if one rider could do more than just win races, more than just dominate circuits, more than just break records that once felt untouchable? What if a single name, shouted by millions of fans across continents, echoed so loudly that it reached the halls of royalty in the Middle East and triggered a decision so wild, so unbelievable, that the world of motorsport would never look the same again? Before you read further, pause for a second. Ask yourself this question. Could Marc Marquez, simply by being Marc Marquez, really inspire a Saudi Arabian prince to dream of building a brand new racing circuit from scratch? If that question makes your heart race, don't look away. Stay here, read until the end, and if this story shocks you, excites you, or leaves you speechless, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because stories like this don't come often, and your voice matters in this conversation. The rumor began quietly, almost like a whisper carried by desert wind. At first, it sounded too absurd to be taken seriously. People laughed it off. Some called it pure fantasy, others dismissed it as exaggerated fan fiction fueled by social media obsession. But then the whispers grew louder, more confident, more detailed. The name at the center of it all was unmistakable: Marc Marquez. And the place where this unbelievable idea was said to be born was even more shocking: Saudi Arabia. In the modern era of MotoGP, Marc Marquez is not just a rider. He is a phenomenon, a force of nature that bends reality around him. His riding style defies physics, his recoveries from injury defy medical logic, and his ability to turn pressure into fuel defies psychology. For years, fans have searched for words to describe him: predator, alien, warrior. But none of those words fully capture what he represents now. Because Marc Marquez has evolved into something even bigger than a champion. He has become an idea. That idea, according to growing speculation, reached the ears of a young Saudi prince deeply invested in the future of global sport. A prince known not just for wealth, but for ambition, for vision, for a burning desire to place his nation at the center of the world's biggest sporting stages. Formula One had already arrived. Boxing megafights had already followed. Football superstars had already crossed borders. But motorsport on two wheels, raw, dangerous, emotional, and deeply human, still lacked a crown jewel in the region. Until Marc Marquez entered the picture. Those close to the story describe a moment that feels almost cinematic. A private viewing. A large screen. Footage of Marc Marquez at full attack mode. Lean angles that look impossible. Elbows scraping asphalt. Saves that make engineers shake their heads. A body pushed beyond pain, beyond fear, beyond reason. As the footage played, the room reportedly fell silent. Not the silence of boredom, but the silence of awe. The kind of silence where something irreversible begins. The question that followed was simple, yet explosive. Why should MotoGP only belong to Europe and a handful of traditional circuits? Why shouldn't the desert have its own cathedral of speed? Why shouldn't the future of motorcycle racing rise from the sand, designed not for the past, but for the next generation? And why shouldn't Marc Marquez, the rider who refuses to accept limits, be the spark that ignites it all? This is where the story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Because this was never meant to be just another track. Not another sterile venue built for prestige alone. The vision, as it is now being whispered, was something radical. A circuit inspired by Marquez himself. Corners that reward bravery. Sequences that punish hesitation. Sections that demand absolute commitment. A layout that separates the fearless from the fast. In other words, a track that asks riders the same question Marc Marquez has been asking the sport for over a decade. How far are you really willing to go? For fans, the emotional weight of this idea is overwhelming. Marc Marquez has always been a rider who divides opinion, but never attention. Love him or hate him, you cannot ignore him. And now, the idea that his influence could stretch beyond garages and championships, beyond contracts and rivalries, into the very geography of motorsport itself, feels almost unreal. It feels like watching history being written before anyone dares to confirm it. Some insiders suggest the prince did not see Marc Marquez merely as a racer, but as a symbol of resilience after injury, of obsession with perfection, of relentless pursuit in the face of doubt. These values align eerily well with Saudi Arabia's broader ambition to redefine its global image through sport. In that alignment, something powerful was born. Not a deal, not a contract, but a vision. And visions, especially royal ones, have a dangerous habit of becoming reality. The emotional core of this story lies not in concrete or asphalt, not in budgets or blueprints, but in belief. The belief that one rider's legacy can transcend trophies. That greatness can inspire infrastructure. That speed can shape landscapes. If this circuit becomes real, it will not just be another dot on the MotoGP calendar. It will be a monument to influence. A silent acknowledgement that Marc Marquez changed the sport so deeply that even nations felt compelled to respond. But is it really happening? Or is the world simply projecting its fascination with Marc Marquez onto a rumor too good to be true? That question hangs in the air, heavy and unresolved. And perhaps that uncertainty is what makes this story so powerful. Because whether confirmed or denied, the idea alone has already done its job. It has captured imagination. It has ignited debate. It has reminded us that motorsport is not just about machines and lap times. It is about stories that make us feel something. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain. Marc Marquez is no longer just racing against other riders. He is racing against history itself. And somewhere in the desert, a dream may already be taking shape, drawn not with ink, but with speed, ambition, and the echo of a name shouted by millions. If this story surprised you, if it made you question what is possible in the world of MotoGP, don't stay silent. Like this story, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for the next part, because what comes next may be even more unbelievable.